Okay. I had to cut that video short. I was trying to pause it, but I wound up cutting it off. Anyway. So he told me, he's like he didn't want to die in Texas and this and that and the other. He wanted to go back home. So his sister Mary, agreed to take him back home to Jersey and everything. And he was up there for a minute. He sent me pictures. I saw him on Facebook. He called me, talked to me. He's like he was so happy he was back up there and this and that and the other. But he started to get sick again. And they, from the heart, because he had had the transplant and, went back north. So he had got sick and, come to find out that the heart that he had, the person had leukemia. And he wound up passing from that. And it was so sad because it was like he had that transplant and he fought so hard, and everything to stay alive. And he was doing, it seemed like he was doing good, but the heart, was defective. And, you know, so, he was like, I think 50, maybe 54, 52, 50, somewhere between the ages of 52 and 55 when he passed away. But he always said he lived a good life. And he always, was like, Frank Sinatra was his favorite, that song, I Did It My Way, because he was like, I'm going to do it my way. He was like, just like Frankie would say, I'm going to do it my way. And I was like, okay, Martin, you're going to do it your way. So he loved Frank Sinatra, and so do I. Yes, this black girl loves Frank Sinatra. And big band music, and Perry Como, and Dean Martin, and all of them. You know, but he said he lived a good life. He was so happy to have his daughter, and to have met his grandson, and he was so happy to have spent, years with me. They were wonderful years, that we spent together, and he was grateful for having me in his life, and I was grateful for having him in my life. Because even once we reconnected and everything, we just became real close, real good friends, talked to each other about everything. He knew of my husband. He talked to my husband before. He knew of my children, my boys and everything. And, it was just a beautiful thing. And, he said he lived his life the way he wanted to live it. And that was the most important thing. And he's right. And his birthday just passed this January. And because I got so wrapped up in life and wrapped up in my own stuff, I forgot. The people that are near and dear to me, I have to give a shout out or pay homage or do something in some type of way to let them know that they're still here. They will always be here in my heart. They're in my mind as well. And that I love them and I'm thinking about them. And, much respect. Martin was a very, very, very important part of my life and my daughter's life. And everything he's ever done for us, I'm grateful for. I had a chance to apologize to him because we went through some things when we were dating, and I was like, I wasn't right, and everything. And I apologized to him. He was like, you don't have to apologize to me. You don't have to be sorry about nothing. Everything it's good. We good. I love you. It's good. We cool. And I was like, well, you know what? I just need to know that you forgive me. That's what I need. And he was like, I forgive you. He was like, there's nothing to forgive, but if that's what you want to hear, I forgive you. So I was like, thank you. And he apologized for anything that he ever did, and we made peace with each other. So it was wonderful, and it was a beautiful thing. And I miss him. We would talk all the time on the phone. And he was a good person. Martin was a good person, a good man. So I say that to say this. Although I'm not big on interracial dating, I'm not big on a black person dating a white person, and I'll tell you why. Most of the time, and not all of the time, but most of the time from my life experience and what I've seen, and I've been I've been around, I've seen a lot of stuff. Um, from what I've seen, when a black person and a white person have a child, and it's normally when a white woman is with a black man and they have a child, the child comes out, the child is, somewhat confused, um, because they have two sides. Now when they're babies and all that, of course, that's not what it is. This is when they get older and they start going to school and they start realizing and coming into themselves. There's confusion that comes along with that, because they have the white side of the family, they have the black side of the family. Sometimes it can be where um, the mother and the father might not work out, the man might leave. So then that mixed child is stuck with the white mother and her white side of the family. So one of two things is going to happen, maybe one of three. That child is either going to conform and start hating her black side and just get into her white side because that's all she's seeing, and that might be all that her mother's showing her, because maybe the mom and the dad had a bad breakup. So it's like, the mother's feeling some type of way because the man left her. So that could happen. What could also happen, is that um, sometimes, if it wasn't so bad of a breakup and the mother is still on good terms with the man's family, then, she would still like send her child to spend time with that family, which is very nice and very good, so they can see both sides. But it's still somewhat confusing because it's like, okay, but these people over here treat me like this, and these people over here treat me like this. And sometimes you have children in that family, that can be, kind of rough, and it's like, oh, you're not like us, you're not black, you white. And then the white ones might be like, well, you're not really all white, you're, black, your skin's darker than ours, so then it's like they have that. So it's like, and I speak, from personal experience, from, you know being going through that with a couple of friends of mine that had children, and that was a thing. um so it can be very difficult, for mixed children. So, there can sometimes be that, that can just be a problem. And I hate for children of any color to have any types of problems, because it's just not right. Because children don't ask to be here. We bring them here, and they're here and they're just trying to survive like we all are. And sometimes as parents, we don't think about them because we're too busy thinking about ourselves. We don't think about their feelings or anything like that, and that is totally wrong. You should not do that, no matter what color your child is. But when they're mixed, it's really difficult for them, and that should be taken into consideration. Um, it's like a double whammy. Kids are already hit with the whammy, and then that's a double whammy. So it's hard. But you know, such is life in a sense. But that's why I don't really agree with the unification of that. Also, I feel as though, you know, the white person can't really understand the black person's fight. They really can't understand as much as they may want to, as much as they may love, because they may love the person, you know, but they can't really understand the gravity of certain situations because they have privilege. So they have never went through it. They're not going to go through it. So they can't understand it. So to some of them, it's not even there. So they really don't have an understanding at that point. So it's a lot of things. But there are some couples, I guess, interracial that make it, that stay married, and whatever. And hey, more power to them. Okay, I have a preference, but my preference is my preference. And if you get with a person, you love them, they love you, don't matter what color they are, you stay with that person, you love that person treats you right, and you treat them right, and everything's all right. Hey, more power to you. That's all I can say about it. But that's not my choice. That's not my preference. My personal preference. I prefer my black melanated men, my chocolate kings. I recommend, I not recommend them, but I prefer them. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I'm not saying something's wrong with the other people. And no, I'm not saying that, because I've dated white people, I've dated Hispanic, I've dated black, I've dated Indian, Middle Eastern. So I have no problem with any of them. My preference is my preference, and that's my black men. So it is what it is. But I would like to end this video by saying happy heavenly birthday, universal birthday, belated birthday, sorry, to my best friend, Martin Connors. May he rest in eternity. Happy birthday, Martin.